All right, so we're going to try and keep this quick. Thank you. Quick and concise, but get some great sound bites. So, Siri, you reacted on stage to a video about a Canadian mother and her experience with her daughter with cystic fibrosis trying to receive appropriate treatments. As the mother of a child with cystic fibrosis, could you share your feelings on that and your feelings about that type of system potentially being imported here?
Watching that film was incredibly painful. My heart ached for that mother. My heart ached for that young woman. And it really was extraordinarily disturbing because clearly the decision that was made, should we start over?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, Christina, can you guys move away or quiet down? All right.
Watching that film was incredibly painful, incredibly disturbing. Obviously at a very personal level, thinking about it in terms of my daughter and what it would be like to watch her suffer and essentially be told, you must decline. Your health must decline significantly to the point you possibly could die to be eligible to use a life-saving drug. It's unimaginable. And what was so painful about watching that was realizing that some people had decided to take that girl's humanity away from any decision making and really not care about her suffering, really her life or her death, because clearly somebody made a decision that it was more cost effective for her to be hospitalized and go through all the many complications of CF, including possibly having a transplant, than to actually give her a drug that could stop disease progression, improve her health, improve her quality of life.
So, what is your reaction when you hear policymakers talk about the potential of international reference pricing or policies like HR 3, which would use an international pricing index?
I am very concerned that this creep and move towards using that type of pricing would be implemented in the United States. To me, oh no, I'm going to start using somebody else's thing, so I'll start over. I am very concerned about these decisions that are made and the temptation to use pricing indexes that are used in the rest of the world, because we know people are not living as long, their quality of life is not good, there's not access to new cutting-edge innovative therapies in many of these countries based on those pricing indexes. And to think that we are here and we have this innovation, we have these new therapies that we couldn't even imagine them years ago, that are improving people's quality of life, that are saving lives, to think that possibly that would be imported here, that model, which would halt access, is terrifying. And it really does come down to decisions about quality of life and who's making decisions about a person's value. And we don't want a system where that is coming into play.
Thank you. So, last question. Can you just tell us a little bit about your experience with the Institute for Clinical and Economic Review and their cystic fibrosis assessment?
In 2017, some new CFTR modulating drugs were being evaluated by ICER. And it was a very, well, I would say it was a painful process. In the beginning, I didn't know it was painful because they really did not engage with us. They did not engage with most of the other cystic fibrosis related groups, and yet listed us in their report as people they had engaged with. We felt it was devoid of the patient voice, devoid of humanity. I would say for myself as an individual, as the executive director of CF4I, and as a part of a larger CF engagement network, we have grave concerns that they do not engage, they do not want to hear the patient voice, they did not want to hear the bigger impacts of these therapies upon the lives of the patients, but also the caregivers. And that they pay lip service, basically, to patients and to advocacy groups to say they had engaged, but they had not truly engaged. To me, I believe if they really do engage, and we are in the process now of starting once again because there's a new drug that has recently been approved by the FDA, So they're doing a review of that drug. So we're starting this process again, and I feel we need to keep bringing the patient voice and experience to the group. If it's disregarded, it really does show that it's just lip service. And really, I think at a bigger level, we want to share the patient experience, but at the bigger level, I think people need to understand their system, their methodology, their use of quality is not humane, it's not accurate. There are better ways to go about assessing drug pricing than through ICER's reports.
Thank you, Siri. That's perfect. Thanks. That's great. That is fabulous. We appreciate you.
Oh.
You can now get to the airport.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.